yesterday with that 30-24 win over the Panthers. Brady had 432 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, gentlemen, 63, 57, and 30 yards to Mike Evans. All right, Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you by Brady and the Bucs?
Well, I gave it a 10, not by the Bucs, but by Brady's connection with Mike Evans, because through 16 weeks, we saw no indication that this was even possible. On passes of 20 air yards, he was 3 or 4 for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Coming into the week, he only had one of those. And that was a 51-yard, if I'm not mistaken, against the Baltimore Ravens. So we saw no indication that something like this was possible because we had not seen it for the first 16 weeks of the season. And then they break out. They finally got 30 points. We had seen no indication of that being possible. They got 31 in the loss, but they lost 41-31. And Brady was on. He might have should have had better than that if K. Dotton knew the difference between man and zone. He got upset. 41, I forget his name. He was like, Kokeef. He was like, where the F is Otten? And then Otten comes in, he's like, well, I should have kept Kokeef in the ball game. Because Otten had a hard, I saw the play, I tweeted, bro, that's a man read. Brady's trying to lead you, and you just turn up and just keep running. And he pulls up, Brady misfires. Brady was extremely upset with that. He tried to hit him on another, and he didn't get his head around quick enough. So Brady could have had more yards than what he did. But what I liked about Tom and Mike Evans is that they saw an opportunity and they took advantage of the opportunity. And that opportunity was C.J. Henderson. Skip, there's a reason why this young man was the 9th pick in the draft. In 1 year, in 3 games, into his second season, he was traded for a tight end and a 3rd-round pick. Let that sink in for just a second. The 9th pick in the draft was traded for a tight end and I think a 2nd or 3rd-round pick the following season in which he was selected 9th overall. He was terrible. I don't know what he thought. Mike Evans got everybody with the same move. He lulled them to sleep like I ain't doing nothing. Takes off, throws his hand up. Tom Brady airs it out, touchdown. So that's not on Tampa Bay. They're like, man, y'all need to pay attention. This is a real game. Don't worry about play your technique. Do what you're supposed to do. But Tom was sensational yesterday. 432 yards, 34 of 45. And so I don't really know what else to say. Chris Godwin was over 100 yards, but they played well yesterday. And even as well as they played, it still took, 3-4 turnovers in order for them to pull this out. So that's how challenged they are, Skip, to get separation from a team. As great as Brady played yesterday, it still took, 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions, fumbles. And Sam Darnold, as great as he was playing, then all of a sudden the second half he started turning the ball over and let Tampa get right back in the game, and eventually they won the game. But Tom and Mike Evans, they deserve a 10 for what they did yesterday.
Okay, so the question was about surprise. So for me, the surprise factor was 15 on a scale of 1 to 10 because you picked Carolina to win, and I didn't have any issue with that because I told you I'm going to be surprised if the Bucs do win.
Right.
Because I couldn't see how they could because every factor on paper indicated that Carolina would win this game. Carolina won at Carolina 21-3. 21-3. And Carolina is was one of the hotter teams in the league, having won 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 6. Carolina definitely had one of the hotter defenses in the league under a coach who still deserves to get this job because he is a defensive guru to me, and he has completely changed the way they play football. Yeah. And it looked like several times yesterday they were in complete command of this game, just the way a lot of people expected that they would be.
Right.
So the point was, here came in Tampa with the worst rushing attack in pro football, and did it get any better yesterday? It still is. It was just pathetic. It might have been more pathetic yesterday than it's ever been. And pass rush. They were graded 28th as a pass rush, which is 4 from the bottom.
Right.
Because they can't rush anybody without Shaq Barrett, and Vita Vea is still limpy, gimpy, coming back in, and they just don't have anybody until the end of the game. Anthony Nelson finally rose and shone and made one play. And Tryon Stoyanka makes a play here or there, but they can't rush the passer. So for the most part, Sam Darnold was just sitting back there with all day and all night to throw, and he was picking them apart, and he still threw for 341 yards. So the point was that in the end, I'm sitting over here as a Brady supporter. I'm ashamed by everything I said last week. I'm ashamed by everything I was tweeting early in the game because it looked like all hope was lost.
Right.
I'm ashamed because I keep saying he's the one man in sports I don't bet against.
Right.
Yet I didn't bet against him. I still picked them to win, but I picked him to win 14-13 because
Right.
I couldn't imagine them scoring more than 14 points. And I tweeted when they fell behind 14-0 that the best hope they had was to tie it at 14 and go to overtime because I could not imagine how they were going to score 14 because they can't protect Brady well enough at this stage and age to get him loose to score more than 14 points because Brian Burns is serious business, and so is Derek Brown.
Right.
They can flat out rush the passer. And they got him 3 times, and they hit him 7 times. So they were getting after him.
It was the last one that got him upset. He started
got him really upset.
They shoved him down.
But it was that wasn't a penalty.
He wanted one. Though.
Okay, he wanted one, but that was classic. You're begging for it, Brady. And by the way, he got so upset that he spiked the ball and got a delay of game late in the game. You cannot, excuse me, you cannot do that. Mm-hmm. But here's the biggest picture of what happened yesterday. On the first day of 23,
New Year,
Tom Brady went 23, as in Michael Jordan, on the Carolina Panthers in a win or else game, a win or basically go home game. I know that it still wouldn't have been completely over if they'd lost, but this was for all the marbles, as few a marbles as the NFC South has had. Maybe it's for one marble, but it's still for the one marble.
Right.
Tom Brady went 23, as in Michael Jordan, on the Carolina Panthers in a win or else game, a win or basically go home game. I know that it still wouldn't have been completely over if they'd lost, but this was for all the marbles, as few a marbles as the NFC South has had. Maybe it's for one marble, but it's still for the one marble.
Right.
And he went Jordan again. And you can say, well, relative to all that he's accomplished, it was just Mickey Mouse Jordan, but it was still Jordan-esque because he still has as clutch a killer will as we've ever seen in your sport. He still has the capability of just going nuclear when it has to be done. And he did it yesterday against all odds to me because I didn't see it coming, and I'm usually the one who does see it coming.
Well, I think the thing is you didn't see it coming because you saw no indication through the first 17 weeks that it was even possible.
You realize Mike Evans had gone 11 straight games. Think about this. 11 games in a row with 0 touchdown passes. We have talked and talked and talked it to death how for reasons nobody can quite figure out, Tom Brady and Mike Evans have fallen completely apart. They've lost their wavelength. They've lost their chemistry. They've lost their rapport. I don't think they hate each other. I don't think anything's going on between them. They just lost connection for reasons I don't know. Brady said after the game, yeah, I missed him a bunch of times. And there were some times, such as the first throw at Carolina, when it hit Mike Evans right in the hands and he just butterfingered it. I don't know why. I can't figure it out because Mike Evans is better than that and Tom Brady is better than that, but it had not worked. Yet clearly, the whole idea yesterday was, screw it. Like, let's just forget about all that didn't happen. Let's make it happen today. I'm going to throw you a whole bunch of footballs, and let's just see if we can figure this back out on the fly because you and I are the only hope we have to win this game. And that's the God's truth. That was it.
But what did we find out early in the week? That J.C. Horn had broken his wrist. He was going to be out. He's their guy. He's their shutdown guy that could possibly neutralize some of this. Because, Skip, it was the big play that got him right back in the ballgame. It was 14-0. And the next thing you know.
I have some respect for C.J. Henderson because I watched him a lot at Florida. I got it. You know, he ran in the 4.3s. He is a superior athlete.
But Skip, you don't trade the 9th pick in the draft 1 year in 3 games.
I know, but he's actually played very well this year for that team because he has not been a liability, and he is the one getting all the throws at him all year long because J.C. Horn is a flat-out stud. And I will remind you, it was 50-50 even Steven because Carlton Davis, shockingly to me, is the best corner by far on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, did not play.
Right.
He's got some bum shoulder, and when I saw all week he